So this will be our fifth example of the wing gambit, simply because black played something a little different again. Once again, we're trashing black Sicilian studies, and I have a lot of these wing gambits because the Sicilian defense appears to be the favorite response to e4 online these days, possibly everywhere. Create a situation where the b4 pawn's in black's own way. What's interesting about this game is I didn't really do that. I used another idea, and you can evaluate for yourself whether or not it was a good idea. Create an unfavorable French, that also didn't occur in this game, and the reason why is because black just went with the traditional Sicilian Savination type setup. So without further ado, we will look at this game. Sorry. Okay, so this game was played in January of 2017. I opened e4. Once again, this is a highly rated opponent. By highly rated, I mean 2100 or higher. We are going with the wing gambit, and now it says d5 is the correct move. And as you see, black played e6. I do see this move a lot. So I have a variety of responses to this, almost always knight to f3 or bishop to d3. So black is going to play a traditional setup, not play d5, blocking his own light squared bishop in, even though the computer says that's the way to go. And interestingly, the computer now has decided that white is slightly better, but black's pawn up. So black is just following a very conservative, pawn formation. And here's the surprise move by me. See, I don't really see where. Oh wait, the computer has considered it in there. Computer almost always loves a3 in these situations, so I move c4. And in fact, now it says that the best response is a5, which is very curious. I find that people almost cannot ever resist getting rid of their double b pawn. They're going to take it en passant. I'm going to recapture with a gain of time. So I now recapture. Computer says I have a slight edge again. So if you look at this, I've got this beautiful looking center, and what's different about this is that black's got this queenside majority of pawns, and if we just had kings on the board at this point, black would have a win. But that's a long ways away. So black castles. He wanted me to play bishop to f4, so that's slightly inaccurate. I play queen to e2. Now black is playing just standard Sicilian type moves, because probably he has studied Sicilian to death, and that's what he does. And now knight to c6 is played, and the computer wanted me to move my king's rook over to d1, and instead I moved what may be premature rook to c1, pressuring a semi-open file. Somebody taught me somewhere that rooks are best on open files, so that's what I did. And now it says black can entrench himself. But if you look at the computer evaluations of this, they're all less than a pawn. In fact, they're less than half a pawn difference one way or the other. And that is going to continue in this type of setup for a period of time until somebody makes some sort of major flawed move. And he chases me, I take, which is the number one move. He takes back. Now he's threading my d pawn, and the computer recommends e5, which I play. The computer wants black to move his bishop back, but capturing should work just fine. And now if you look at the situation, it becomes much more unclear, because white's bishop on d3 is loose. And the question is, what happens? Is this a trap of some sort? Because it can be very trappy for a variety of reasons if black just takes that pawn. If black takes the pawn and recaptures fully, and I capture with the queen, he plays queen to d3, I'd say black's fine. So the question is, the computer wants him to do it, but computers are very good. There are a variety of ways I can respond to that sort of move. For instance, I could take, and then when he takes back, move my bishop to c2. I could also move my other rook over to d1 at this point, which is probably why the computer wanted me to do it a long time ago. After he captures and I move my rook to d1, now the bishop's protected, and there's a threat of bishop to h7 check. So he has to play very carefully. He has to do something like move queen to c7, and things get more complex. So now the computer says in its final analysis, black should safely be able to take this pawn and remain half a pawn up when he's a whole pawn up. Well, actually, he'll be 2 pawns up. So this is the kind of position I actually like in the wing gambit, and I'm in favor of playing it. I'm looking at playing queen to e4 at some point here and creating huge weaknesses on the black king side. So the move queen to g or knight takes pawn is what the computer says. The original computer that did the analysis on this PGN, which would be Stockfish 8, and so bishop to g5 is what got played, and now white has an advantage. He has approximately a third of a pawn advantage instead of half a pawn down. And knight to g5, it said was the correct move, so I blundered back. I should have played knight to g5, according to the computer. However, I like what I played just fine. I moved my rook over again. It does seem a little illogical, I agree, but I think his bishop's misplaced, and I'm planning on taking it off. As you see, the move queen to a5 was played, and the move queen to c7 is what's recommended. And now simply taking the bishop is going to lead to a huge advantage for white if black takes the knight on c3. Because there are all kinds of strange little shots that can come up in the middle of this. I mean, there are moves that can be made like queen d4 or bishop checks and then bishop retreats, because then after the pawn takes, you know, we can start looking at bridging rook, so we can start looking at moving queen to h5. I believe that if black takes this knight on c3, he's lost. So it's interesting, the Stockfish 8 recommended f5, so which this says is a loss also. So he just took the pawn, and now he's in severe trouble. So now I can basically leave that knight alone and proceed with the attack, which is going to succeed at this point. It says he has to move rook to d8 to be able to survive, and now the game's over. So as you can see, this is real simple stuff. We just sack on g6 and create this huge mating net and bridge a rook. And now, of course, the move is get the rook to h3. This is resign time, and that's what happened in this game. So there were flaws on both sides. According to computers, there's flaws in every game pretty much. So this is an example of just sitting there quietly, half a pawn down, waiting for a position to open up in such a way that we can destroy it. And that's the end of this video.